If you're a small business owner, you'll know just what it's like to be the chief everything officer. HR, payroll, employee benefits. Well, Gusto can do all of that for you. Gusto is online payroll and benefits software built for small businesses. It's all in one, remote friendly, and incredibly easy to use. It's quick and simple to switch to Gusto. Just transfer your existing data to get up and running fast. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/lockedonsoccer and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's gusto.com/lockedonsoccer.
The world's biggest soccer tournament has arrived, and you can trade the entire tournament on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you can trade every match from the opening stage all the way to the final. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code CUP26 to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI Kalshi. Trade the beautiful game. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
I recently got back from a holiday in Belek in Turkey. It was brilliant, but I did spend it looking longingly at the golf courses in the area. In reality, if I'd taken my clubs, I probably would have come back from that family holiday single. It's a brilliant place, stunning beaches, 5-star hospitality in some of the best hotels on earth. But for me, just getting out on those courses would have been the icing on the cake. Search Turkey on TripAdvisor now to book your ultimate golf holiday in the Turkish Riviera.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn. Welcome to another How We're the podcast. And although the news isn't coming thick and fast out of Sunderland AFC just yet, especially as we're waiting for the domestic transfer cycle to kick in, we thought we'd jump on and do a quick recap of a few bits and pieces that have come out of the club, some big and some small, and just to do a quick news roundup in general. And luckily for me, I have a couple of people with me who I'm very glad to be able to catch up with because it feels like a while since we last had the chance. And first up, we have Ant Waterson. Hello, Ant.
Hello, mate. Yeah, it has. It's been a while. I think this is my first one since the end of the season. So even though that wasn't that long ago, but a lot's happened since, hasn't it? But yeah, looking forward to getting down and getting to enjoy talking to you and Mr. Bomber again because I've missed you both a lot. So well, there we are.
Bloody hell, if you haven't been one since the end of the season, you'll still be celebrating, are you, mate?
Oh,
going to talk about European qualification still?
I haven't stopped celebrating, mate. I still won't stop celebrating. I'll be getting the little badge on the tops whenever the tops and all out. Yeah, can't wait for it, mate. That's it's class,
we'll definitely be talking about that because that's obviously one of the big talking points with the emblems on the new shirts, but we will come on to that because also joining us we have Bomber. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Yeah, it's not quite been as long for me in terms of me being on. I think I was on the player of the season and the young player of the season pods, so long enough ago, but still not post season. And yeah, just been enjoying watching my young player of the season, Ballon d'Or winner, African Cup of Nations, African Player of the Season, King Sadiq do bits at the World Cup. It's been lovely.
Yeah, and are you basking in the heat as well, mate? Because we're recording in the middle of a heat wave, of course.
I wouldn't call it basking. Yeah, a few work calls been taken with the feet in the paddling pool, to say the least. But yeah, we're coming through the end of it now, aren't we? So we'll be back to complaining that summer's gone and disappeared soon enough.
Yeah, the shops have had loads of, burly middle-aged fellas walking into their shops and buying little dinky paddling pools, of course, for the kids. But they would never own up that. It's for them just to dangle their feet in during the day when it's ridiculously hot. But anyway, let's get into some of these recent stories because it's been a little bit, but neither of you two have had a chance to comment on it since it's been a while since you've been on the pod. So I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to go back to the fixtures and the fixtures breakfast that Andrew and Gav went to, and they had a bit bait and joined in with that, even though apparently they looked like raggy arse rovers. Everyone else was all kitted out, looking smart, and they turned up in shorts and t-shirt and all that sort of stuff. But the fixtures were released, and it's one of these things that you look forward to, and you go, to it's fantastic, and who we're going to get. And then our 2 fixtures in August are Ipswich away and Fulham at home.
Yeah. To be honest though, 'cause I was at the Isle of Wight festival last week, so like round about this time last week, I was waking up and finding out who we'd got was the first thing I did when I woke up.
I think you were waking up trying to remember what your name was, probably, were you?
Well, probably after I'd remembered all that and realised I hadn't done anything stupid. Yeah, but I'm all right with it. I've got to be honest. I'm all right with that start. I think going down to Ipswich, yes, is going to be difficult. But got to remember as well, they're not going to be the Ipswich that were last season or whatever the year before because of Kieran McKenna leaving. I think like Kieran McKenna is a massive, massive part of what they've achieved. And getting Gary O'Neill in as manager, I think's a little bit of a weak appointment. So I think going down there and showing them that we're not like the flip-floppy championship side that they kind of thought we were, sorry. I think if we go down there, it's a statement of intent. And I think the first early games of the season for us are quite important because we're going to have to, I think it's kind of the same as last year, that we probably need to start well before the European games come in. Because obviously we're going to be playing every like Thursday, Sunday, so we're going to use a lot of the squad. But if we have a fully fit squad, for me, Ipswich away, Fulham at home, and even Brentford away, I'm quite happy with. And then obviously 2 big guns after that, but we'll take what we can get from that. But yeah, I'm all right with that start, mate. I know I think people will want like a Hollywood start or whatever like that, but people won that last year, and we got a really good start to the season, didn't we? Even though we had West Ham and Burnley. Brentford at home and stuff like that, but it gives us just that opportunity to get points on the board again. So I'm all right with it, mate.
Yeah. You know what? Until you said that, and considering I'm so far behind with stuff and watching the World Cup and all this, and not focusing on the domestic game, hadn't even realised Ipswich had appointed someone.
Yeah.
I thought they were still looking for a manager. If you asked us who was the manager of Ipswich, I wouldn't have known until you said it there. But yeah, Bomber. I mean, I don't know if you've got any thoughts about any runs in that fixture list, and also a date on everybody's calendar in terms of Sunderland fans is going to be Friday, the 28th of August as well, when we have the UEFA Europa League draw as well.
Yeah, so looking forward to that. Really looking forward to that. In terms of the fixture list, it's a tricky one. Like, I think I probably speak for everybody that we'd have preferred a home tie for the opening day, and maybe I'm just reminiscing back to West Ham last season and having been there. Apart from the last game of last season, the atmosphere, just the incredible buzz that everyone was like, just euphoric that Premier League football was back. And I know it probably wouldn't have replicated that, but it's always nice to have an opening game, regardless of who it's against, being at home. If it was Ipswich at home or another one of the promoted teams at home, or it was Man City at home, it would have been a good occasion. So a little bit disappointed not to have kicked off with a home game. But the first 2, I would say, even the first 3 games gives us a good opportunity to get a good start under our belts, because obviously Arsenal, Man City come after that. And whilst, we're a top 7 club these days, we still probably go into those games optimistic of getting something, but not necessarily expecting, particularly away. So yeah, it's important to get off to a good start. I think Fulham, Brentford, Ipswich gives us a perfect platform to do that. It will just be down to the lads on the pitch. But yeah, not too dissatisfied. Nice, easy game to finish the season on as well. To win the title against Man City will be good for us. But yeah, it just feels strange to have fixtures coming out and then still not knowing exactly what our season's going to look like, because obviously, like you said, the European draw will come in 3 or 4 weeks' time. No, more than that, probably 4 or 5 weeks' time. But yeah, I'll be eagerly anticipating that, and it can't come soon enough.
Yeah, and it was interesting the point Gav made as well on the pod about the fixtures at the moment. The fixtures look very neat and tidy because, as Gav pointed out, it goes Saturday, 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 pretty much. And it'll look nothing like that because it'll be Friday, Sunday, Monday, whatever. And I don't think we'll have that many games on a Saturday.
Yeah, well, I've had to change because literally as soon as the fixtures came out, I was pinpointing games that I wanted to get to, and I was looking at where I could book hotels and get up to the home games. And then I realized that 3 of the ones that I booked are Europa League weeks, so they're not going to be on the Saturdays anyway. So then I had to go back and change all the bookings. So yeah, my eagerness and my extra preparedness has foiled me thanks to Europa League football. But small mercies.
Yes, so our fixtures are going to be absolutely all over the place, but small price to pay, of course, for qualifying for Europe for the first time since 1973. But moving on from those fixtures, the big news, and it has been built up for a while, but we had the kit releases. So we are recording on the day that people have gone to the club shop for the first time and bought the new kits. And I know Craig Chapman and Gav have been to the club shop and already picked up their gear and sent pictures in the chat, and it looks absolutely fantastic. Some of the detail on it is unbelievable. But there was also a pod that Gav and Andrew quickly recorded to talk about the new kits and the detail on them and the significance of it. Because just to read out, and on the official statement on the club website, Lars Stenterberg, that's how I'm going to pronounce it, apologies if that's wrong, but the CEO of Hummel, he said no Premier League club has ever collaborated with the Elvis Presley estate before, and we are proud that Hummel and Sunderland are the first. Can't Help Falling in Love has been sung on those terraces for nearly 5 decades. Together we have created a kit that reflects something real. And even from the kind of media and entertainment industry, Dana Carpenter, who is EVP of Media and Entertainment, Authentic Brands Group, said Sunderland supporters have made Can't Help Falling in Love part of the club's tradition for decades, making this a truly authentic partnership. We're excited to see that connection brought to life through this collaboration. I mean, and Gav's been talking about this a lot, but I'm probably not quite sure that a lot of us, I'm not sure I realised until Gav started talking about it in these terms, the significance and the scale of this partnership with something as huge as the Elvis Presley estate. It's kind of important that the club got it right, wasn't it?
It was. I think that's hit the nail on the head. That to get something as unique as what this strip is, because I think it's certainly split opinion, but to get a design to what the design was meant to be, as in the first top that Elvis wore on his first gig, it had to be perfect. And everything that they've done with the video that was leading up to it, all of that stuff, even the stuff where they had with the guitar and all that stuff, they've done a very, very good job marketing wise of this top, and it had to be, because as you said there, the fact that they built it up with the Elvis Presley estate, it is like they couldn't have just put together some random tat. You know what I mean? It had to be good, and obviously they must like it because it's been released for sale and stuff like that. And
When you say random tat, do you mean stick a Roker Report logo on it and put it out in DHK?
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah, something along those lines. But I think, as you said, I need to obviously close up, but the attention to details, what I think Hummel's done very, very well since they've took back over the kit designs. It is those little things, that they look like that. They've got the coordinates for where the stadium light is and one of the home tops that they've got. Just them tiny little things and tiny little details that you look at and go, oh, they're really good. And that's what I like about this top. Like I said, I think design wise, you'll get people who won't like it. I've already seen people say it's the worst strip I've ever had and all this blather, but you've got to kind of put that to a side and think how big this is for the club. How big this is, how to make like this bespoke design, which no one else is probably ever going to have, is quite important. And I like I say, I mean, it's a top, isn't it? But it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. But we'll get into that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, again, Bum, I mean, Ant's talking about that there's 2 different strands to that. There's if you like it and if you don't like it, there's the significance of the on the business side linking up with the Elvis Presley estate. But there's also, we've always talked about the Netflix impact in terms of Sunderland Till I Die, and people all over the world watching that, people having a link with Sunderland, people knowing about Sunderland, putting Sunderland on the map. And this does the same. Potentially when people walk into sports shops and they're looking for, in America, they're looking for soccer jerseys in the Premier League. It might be a chance that the first one they pick up, that one's linked to Elvis, I'm going to get that one. That's a nice one just to wear around. We end up picking up fans in the States or wherever around the world. So it's got that element to it as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, that was a point that I was going to make, because
Sorry, Bob.
with you stole my point, mate. That's fine. Anyone else I'd have been pissed off, but it's you. No, because with all the best will in the world, the name and brand of Elvis Presley is bigger than the name and brand globally. I'm talking about, obviously, than Sunderland Football Club. So to kind of touch on Ant's point, it had to be right, because the image, the brand of the Elvis Presley estate, and wouldn't have wanted it anything but perfect. So it was a bold decision to go into collaboration, and it's a bold move and quite a bold kit. I'll be honest, when I first saw the photos, I really wasn't a fan of it. And then I think my problem is I don't like long sleeve football shirts. So then as soon as the other photos came out and we saw Habib Diarra in the short sleeve version, I was like, oh, actually, yeah, that's quite nice. And then a few more photo sets come out. And I was on at 7:55 this morning, and I've bought it, and it's on its way to me. So, but not just that. Like to your point, like you said, that there will be people who are avid, who are football or soccer fans, who are also avid Elvis Presley or rock and roll fans. And in what other scenario are those two worlds going to collide, other than gigs at stadiums? So once again, we've done something that's completely unique in terms of what we've tried to do. We've got a kit that's completely unique. And I think, in all honesty, even if I wasn't that sold on it, like I say, I've slept on it, I've seen some different photos, and I am sold on it now, and I like it, and I've bought it. But even if I didn't, I think there's still a chance that I would have bought it, just because of how iconic a kit it could end up being. Like I say, it'll be unique, just as a piece of memorabilia. First season first season in Europe, first season qualified for Europe through the league. Finished 7th in the Premier League. We've got our desired kit manufacturer back for a second season, and they haven't got second season syndrome. They've gone and done something that's even bolder, even braver. So even just from a collector's point of view, it would be daft for me to have not got it. And it just so helps that, ironically, I've fallen in love with it over the 24 hours since the pictures first came out. So yeah, it's great. It's great piece of innovation. Full credit to Hummel and to the club and to the Elvis Presley estate for making that work. And yeah, it's nice to see that recognition as well from their side, from Elvis's side, because that song, I know there's a few clubs that use it, and a few sets of fans that sing it, but no one does it like we do. I don't think the song is as synonymous with any other football club other than ours. So it's good to get that recognition as well. So yeah, it's just a brilliant move all round, regardless of whether you love the kit or you don't.
It's a bit like the the blue one we had a couple of years ago, the minor one. And everyone was going a bit mental about that one. It was like the third strip, wasn't it? But it was based on like the Weymouth mine and stuff. But it was like, oh, it looks like Christmas wrapping and everything along those lines. But it was, as Bomber just went there, it was a unique kind of collector's item of a top, and this one reminds us of that. And I kind of like put it out there. Anyone who doesn't really like it, don't buy it. It's simple as, isn't it? You know what I mean? If you don't like something, you're not going to buy it. I'm gonna buy it because I like it. But Bomber's hit a massive, hit a massive point there. Like this top's going to be synonymous in around like America and stuff like that, because they're going to sell it in Graceland, aren't they? You imagine how many tops they are going to sell of this just because it's got the Elvis name, it's got this, that, and the other. I think it's a masterstroke, like.
And the other thing I wanted to mention, just in terms of kit generally, because I've seen pictures of the strip that people have sent me. The detail on it looks absolutely fantastic, as we've said, and even the pattern within the shirt looks brilliant as well. Two things I wanted to bring on to you, and the picture that I got, Gav sent through, it had the Europa League badge on the on the sleeve, which is absolutely fantastic. But but also the rest of the training gear. I've had some pictures sent through that by Gavin and Craig, and it looks incredible.
Yeah, I think the whole range does look really nice. It's really nice training top that I've got my eye on when I get paid on Tuesday. So I think the bank balance is going to take a hit. But yeah, you spot. I think I'm not sure on the only one I'm not sure on is that little Hawaiian one. You know, I think that's like is that a over quarter jacket or something? But I'm not sure on that one.
We've had nights out in worse than that.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I have had worse last week. To be fair, but there's a nice coat I've got my eye on as well. So yeah, I think there's a couple of things that are that are going to look good. I think there was a nice top that Rihanna Roberts, the Lasses captain, was modelling. I thought it was quite nice as well. So I think they were arranged for the women as well. So yeah, I think they've got it all right. Like I said in me passage before, you know, if people don't like it, then you know the option is there not to buy. You know, we're not forcing you to buy. But yeah, the Europa League, that's going to hit different, isn't it? I think you've got to pay a bit extra for that, Chris. I've just looked online, and I think it's 12 quid to have it on, but it's the best 12 quid you're ever going to spend, like,
well, you know, let's hope not, touch wood not. But if it's the last time, then you might as well spend the extra 12 quid this time. But Bomber, I mean, just a last point on it, that it's a huge difference, isn't it? You know, that we've had years of not getting this right, and you know, I go back to the season we got relegated from the Championship, Simon Grayson and Chris Coleman, and that kind of awful, probably the worst home strip we've ever had for that season. But it does have an impact, doesn't it? Just on the general feeling of the players looking smart and everything. And when we do the marketing right and everything comes together, there ends up being a buzz about it.
Oh, 100%. I assume you're talking about the Daffer-Bet red and white pinstripey one.
Yes.
Yeah, the absolutely disgusting one. But yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because we're red and white stripes. We'll always be red and white stripes. So how many different ways can you do red and white stripes?
Not that.
Yeah, but yeah, you could definitely not do it that way. But even so, we've had some kits that have just left a disappointing feel to them, because not necessarily because of how the players have performed it within them, but we've had so many like just stock off the shelf Nike kits, Adidas kits, which, you know, are okay, but for me not befitting of a football club that of the stature of ours. You know, we should be looking at bespoke kits that are made just for us, that mean that we have our own identity and our own you know, style. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, the last 2 seasons, I think all the kits have been really, really good. Especially the last season in particular, obviously the Hummel stuff. And you know, God willing, they're doing our kits for the next 10 years, because they just can't get it wrong at the minute, and I'm not sure that they will, because every time, you know, when the black kit came out and we were like, oh, not too sure, and then all of a sudden everybody loves it. Like Ant said as well, that our third strip, the kind of bluey miners one, we're like, oh, I don't really like it, and then all of a sudden, like once you see it in person, it's fantastic. So yeah, it's a world away from what we had. Wasn't there one not so long ago, maybe in the League One days, where it was a Nike kit, but we weren't even procuring it from Nike, it was through some sort of reseller? Like, how far have we come from there? And it's great to see. Like I said, it gives fans us as fans more of an identity, that we're not just wearing something that you can go get from you know, Sports Direct and then stick your own Sunderland badge on, and it wouldn't make any difference. So yeah, it's great. I love it, and it just means that my bank balance hurts a little bit more than it used to.
Yeah, and there's as the lad said as well the other day, when we were you know, putting kind of sticky labels over sponsors and things like that.
Well, we did do that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that top. That was a bet Daka went bust.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the other thing about just quickly on the point of we're going in without a sponsor, but apparently it's still in the works and still being worked on. But all the strips are being released without a sponsor, sorry, which is a strange one. But we'll leave those strips for now, because I think we've gone on long enough as a commercial department for Sunderland AFC, bigging up all of their strips. But I think it's time for a quick break, so we'll be back very soon.
Imagine buying your kid a toy only to find the batteries aren't included, or buying furniture but missing the tools to build it. Frustrating, right? Now imagine the exact same feeling, but you're paying way more. That is what buying business software usually feels like. Fragmented, disconnected, and incredibly expensive. Odoo completely changes that. Odoo is a complete, fully integrated business suite where all your apps actually talk to each other. We're talking automated lead routing for your sales team, seamless AI integration, and intuitive point-and-click website builder. It's everything your business needs to scale, saving you time, headaches, and money. Stop piecing your software together. Go to odoo.com. That's ODOO.com to learn more.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
And welcome back to Habit the Podcast. And we're just having a general news roundup on things that have been going on. And we've covered off the big one, which was, of course, the new strip launch with all of the kits and the collaboration with the Elvis Presley estate. And that is a statement that is never going to sound normal unless we do it for years and years. But just get on to a couple of other things. One thing I wanted to touch on, Ant, was the podcast that Gav and the lads put out. I think it was towards the end of last week. I can't remember what day. Let's guess Thursday. But it was after a meeting that they'd had with the club, which a lot of groups have. And of course, Gav and the lads weren't just the only ones there. There was lots of representatives there from various groups. And, they were talking about things like, all sorts of topics ranging from, kits to who knows what. But Gav's under embargo not to tell anybody any details. So all I've got is whatever else has got off the podcast. But yeah, I mean, considering we started off saying no news is coming out, it's reassuring that on a couple of points that the club are really working hard behind the scenes on a lot of different areas, and they bring in just a few, representatives just to gauge the mood on things, just to say, look, if we're thinking about this, what might the fans think? And because there was no decisions made, it was all apparently just, up in the air, and things that it might be going on, might be happening, might not be happening. So it's good that those two things are going on, that they're working hard behind the scenes and they're gauging fans' reactions before they go head first into decisions, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and I think it is quite refreshing to see that they are, taking like the fans' opinions on board and stuff like that. Because obviously they've done like atmosphere meetings and stuff like that as well, haven't they? So it's good to have that, that communication with the fans, because obviously we're the lifeblood. We're the ones who obviously pay the money to buy the kits, what we said before, and pay the money to go to the games and stuff. So you have to have that opinion as well. You see so many teams who the fans feel disconnected from the club, disconnected from the board and stuff. So to have that, kind of chat with the club is excellent. And yeah, listening to the podcast, the lads sounded quite optimistic and everything like that. So fingers crossed when it all comes down to we find out what has gone on and what is going on regarding Europe and the tickets and stuff. It is something where it's going to be good for us, because you look at it you look at the World Cup now, they're not thinking about fans at all. They're thinking about, which celebrity can we bring in? Can we give David Beckham a nice bottle of red wine and that'll look good on the telly? and all this stuff. So, so it's nice to have, like, and we have felt a little bit disconnected from the club in recent years, haven't we? The Ellis Shaw era and stuff like that. So it's nice to have some interaction and stuff. I think it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that was big on that meeting, Bomber, was the lads were talking about Tom Burwell not necessarily leading the meetings, but being in and around the meetings and just listening in and I think he was kind of sitting back more than kind of getting involved. But they said whenever he did get involved, it was quite impressive. And the other thing that has come out, well, I'd say come out, is just kind of been, I don't know, slipped by everyone. I don't know how to really describe it. The lads were talking about it, but the fact that Tom Burwell has now been appointed CEO when at the beginning it was interim, there was no real announcement that anybody could see. Just suddenly that in articles he was now the official CEO. All that seems a bit weird, but the lad said, he was saying the right things. He was kind of, talking about the identity of the club rather than, making money and all, just as the big priority. So, I mean, it was a strange one that it was appointed, but the early signs are good.
Yeah, I mean, let's say there was a bit of I don't know how to describe it, a bit confusion, I guess, or a bit of worry when people at the top level start leaving, especially when they've done such good things, and then obviously he's come in on what we understood to be an interim basis, and people are not too sure because generally people don't like change, particularly at football clubs and particularly at the top level of football clubs. But yeah, I mean, it's still relatively early days, but it's so far so good. You can see that there's that fan interaction there. You need to be careful, obviously, not to give us a voice, but not give us any sort of like power in terms of decision making, because I think that's always that always ends up bad in a football club if the fans have too much power over those sorts of decisions, but equally they should be consulted on. The interim to what would apparently be a permanent appointment now, I'm not too. I don't really have an opinion on that. I've worked in recruitment for 25 years and done appointments at that executive level, and it's not unusual for somebody to come in on an interim basis and then end up as a permanent employee or permanent member of staff, or permanent member of the board. It's a little bit questionable, not questionable, but it's a little bit strange how quickly he's gone from interim to full CEO. The only thing I can think of is that maybe initially he was approached and wasn't 100% sold on the idea, so was then convinced to come as an interim, and then has found it to be absolutely fantastic and everything that he could have ever dreamed of, and thought, you know what, yeah, okay, then I'll if you're happy to make it permanent, then I'm happy to make it a permanent appointment as well. So yeah, it's at that executive level, mate. It's not that unusual. Just the timing, and it's really short space of time between being an interim and then being a full-time permanent member of the board. So, but yeah, like I said, it's really, really early days, but so far so good, and it's good to see that he was there, if not taking such an active part. Sometimes the best and most influential people do take that back seat and aren't so forward. They just absorb the information, absorb the opinions, and are just constantly coming up with ideas and thoughts and processing that information. So I think it's a good thing, to be honest.
Yeah. Just sticking with you for a second, Bomber, just in terms of, you said you've had that bit experience, but, just at that level, obviously with Christian Speakman leaving, we had Stuart Harvey leaving, we've had David Bruce leaving, high-profile people at the top. Is it too simplistic to say we should look at that in the same way as we look at your Dan Nails and Anthony Pattersons and whoever else didn't really, Patrick Robert, if you like, people who didn't get a chance in the Premier League, where the club almost know that we had to upgrade on the pitch to be successful? And is it too simplistic to say that it's mirroring off the pitch?
No, I don't think it's too simplistic. I think it applies from the top to the very bottom. I think you can make that application to the backroom staff, to the coaching staff, to the stadium staff, to the chefs. You become a Premier League football club and host Premier League teams and now top European teams. You want to provide the best levels of service and the best experiences. So I don't think it's just exclusive to the players. And I think we've seen evidence of that already. One of the reasons probably why Speakman was moved on was because Olfie's come in and pulled up trees. And whilst we were sad to see Speakman go, I don't think anybody is really. I don't want to sound harsh, but I don't think anybody's really missing him right now. So yeah, it's just levels. It's just levels, mate. And you look at the Man Cities and the Liverpools who've been up in the top echelons and challenging for league titles year in, year out. They've got the very best in the field, in each field that helps breed a successful football club. And whether that's a CEO, a footballing director, a technical director, a manager, the playing staff, the coaching staff, it goes right the way top to bottom. So I don't think it's too simplistic at all. I think it's absolutely necessary to continually improve. And it does mean that, unfortunately, some of those people get left behind. But, like you said, the same happened to Dan Neil and Anthony Patterson and the likes. They were left behind a little bit without the chance. Obviously, the opportunity must have come for us to improve on what we already have in the boardroom, or in that kind of middle upper tier of management, and we've taken it. So I don't think we should consider it any different.
Yep, absolutely. And talking about this sort of replacements and things, we'll get into transfers and transfer rumours, because there hasn't been too many, transfers confirmed, and especially major ones anywhere actually with this World Cup going on. But we'll go into some of the big rumours or some of the big stories that have come out that might potentially happen. And we'll start with Liza Mayenda. The links with Rennes for around 25 million. And there has been a lot of talk, and you read these reports and it's all based around getting more minutes for Mayenda. And it's a real strange one for me, because part of me, when I think about it straight off the bat, I was like, yeah, he could have had more minutes. And then sometimes I think at some of the games, and I think about West Ham away, there was maybe another one we talked about on the season review where he did get the chance and Lebris tried to put him in, and he didn't really perform to the levels we know he can, and he didn't take the opportunity by the scruff of the neck. So it's an interesting one, because I really want him to stay, but you can't argue if he goes to a club who's going to play him week in, week out.
Yeah, and you got to look at if that offer is true, and at 25 million euros for him, you'd struggle not to think that they're going to accept that, because I think that's quite a fair deal. I'm with you. I really want to succeed. I think his potential as well is through the roof. But he's been a little bit unlucky this season, because I'm not sure anyone thought how good Brian Brobby was going to be for us when he came and he had all that injury stuff. But for Brobby to stay relatively injury free, I know he had that little ankle injury, didn't he, where he missed a few weeks. But he's now our number one striker, and he will be until probably the day he leaves, because he's just that good. And obviously, I will get into how good he's been lately. But he's our number one now, and if Wilson this door is happy to be the one who comes off the bench or to be like that, it leaves Elias Mayenda a little bit struggling as to where he is. And we're seeing, like, obviously last season he started as the main striker, quickly got pushed out because Wilson was on form, and then he became the third choice for a long time, didn't he? And then got the chance again. I think it was like Bournemouth away he scored, didn't he? But then didn't kick on. You were expecting, you just kick on. There was so many times last year where you were thinking, right, here's his chance. Played really well against Man City as well out on the wing, but he wasn't consistent enough. And that might have been that he was in and out and everything like that. But I wanted him to come on. I wanted to come on and score a couple of goals, like what Wilson did at the end of last season. Wilson was in that kind of category. I remember thinking, if a bid comes in for Wilson, we'd probably accept. But then he came in with a few good performances last year, scored a couple of goals, and Mayenda hasn't been able to do that. So, and it is age. If he wants to be starting games week in, week out, and Raw are willing to do that, then I think it's a good deal for him, and I think it's a good deal for us. Is it one where we're going to be thinking in 2 or 3 years' time when he's one of the world's best strikers, are we going to think we've maybe missed out? But I'm not sure. It's because his ceilings are high, but he's got to fulfill that. And that's maybe the problem with Elias my end of that is he has so many opportunities, so many comings of him, and you're thinking, now's the chance. But next season, you're going to be thinking, if we're after a striker as well, say we bring one in, where's he going to be? And it just probably wouldn't make sense that he does leave. But I don't want him to go. Don't get us wrong, but I can see the reasoning behind it, and like I say, if 25 million, I think is quite a good deal.
I don't know what you think, Bomber. Whether you think there's something in this, whether you think it's my ender's agent making sure everyone knows he's available and sticking his name out there, and people are just putting two and two together. But I don't know. Can you see him leaving for this sort of price?
Yeah, potentially. The price, I can certainly see him leaving. You just reminded me, actually. I know we said right at the top that I hadn't been on since the Player of the Season award, but I was on for the predictions when we predicted what was gonna happen over the summer. And one of the things that I said was that Mayenda would leave because just the way he was. When all the players came out and to do their little lap of honour after the Chelsea game, he was out on his own a little bit, and he came out before everybody else, and it just looked like a bit of a farewell. And then there was that Instagram post. So I stick with what I was saying in that pod record, that I think he'll be gone because he'll want minutes. I think if we can get 25 million for him, that is basically our model in a nutshell now, because we paid, was it 800 grand for him or something like that from Social? Yeah. 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So to do that and then 3 years later sell him on for 25 million, if you need any evidence of what we're trying to do as a football club and how it works, that's it, isn't it? To go from an £800,000 signing to a £25 million sale. So what's that? £24.2 million profit in 2 years in 3 seasons on a player who, for a season and a half, as being pretty much a bit part player. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Like I think he's great, and I think his ceiling is high. I just don't think that ceiling is going to be reached at Sunderland Football Club, because we've got Brian Brobby and Wilson Isidore at a World Cup and scoring goals at a World Cup. And I know Mayenda's young, and he's been playing in the Spain under 21s, and he's had a few calls up to the full team, but he's not going to get in the full Spanish national team anytime soon. So he needs, if he wants to develop and he wants to reach that ceiling, he needs to do it away from the club. And if we can get, like I say, a £24.2 million profit on it, then thanks, Eliza. Thanks for the memories. Thanks for the songs. But you can go and hate Sam Fender somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we'll forget them, and because they'll be like that Tommy Sorensen song 25 years later. We're still going to be singing that Mayenda song. But moving on, and you mentioned actually this one had been confirmed. I just saw it was rumours, but you said it's been confirmed that Monaco aren't going to take the option to buy Simon Adingra on a permanent basis. So it looks like he's coming back to Sunderland.
Yeah, apparently they confirmed it. I'm sure I read it. They confirmed it on Monday, and apparently the deal to renew it runs out. Similar to us in Hertrauder, where the deal for them to renew it's now elapsed. So it's like whether they're going to try and get it for a lesser price or whatever. But from what I can gather, that he is coming back once obviously finishes the World Cup, because obviously they've qualified, haven't they? So he's still going to be there at the World Cup, but once obviously he has his holidays and stuff like that, he's still going to be a Sunderland player. So, interesting one, because with the Dinger, obviously, is there still room for him at Sunderland? I don't know, because I don't think he's a registered player at all. I've got to be honest. And you've seen how well Angulo's done at the World Cup, especially yesterday. I mean, he was phenomenal, wasn't he? Really, really good. And you're looking at that thinking, well, again, ceiling-wise, is he higher? You would probably say so. And I think we would be in the market for another winger, probably on the other side, but I think we'd be in the market for him. And I think to get a little bit of money for Dingra, I think would still be kind of what we're looking for. So I think he'd probably come back and be sold. But I think we'll see what happens when they get back for pre-season and stuff like that. I imagine it'll be a clean slate for them, but for him, Yeah, I'm disappointed that it hasn't worked out for him, actually, because I just want him, like, it's like with everyone, isn't it? You want them to succeed, don't you? Even if, they don't succeed. You do wish them all well, don't you? And it's a shame that he's got out on loan and it hasn't quite worked out for him. But yeah, I mean, like I say, there's still a footballer in there. There's definitely a footballer in there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially with his contract still going to go on till 2030 at Sunderland. We'll see if there's any buyers coming in from another rumour. This has been going on for a while, but Anthony Patterson, 8 to 10 million, Wrexham and Millwall bomber. I think again with Millwall, it's 2 and 2 together. I mean, I can't imagine Millwall ever spending around 10 million on one single player. It might happen if Alex Neil wants to push the boat out. Wrexham, I could certainly see that because they carry around 10 million in the back pocket, don't they? And every time they just walk out the house. But yeah, can you see Patterson leaving for that sort of money?
I think that would be fair. When you got to remember the young English player tax as well that will be applied to his fee. I think 10 million for a championship club for a very, very good championship goalkeeper is quite reasonable, I think. I certainly couldn't see him going for any more than that, or anyone being willing to pay any more for him than that. I think I agree with you, Chris. I can't see Millwall should donate 10 million on any player, let alone a goalkeeper. But certainly Wrexham could, because they'll, after missing out last season, they'll want to throw money out and go again. I don't think there's probably many better goalkeepers you'll get for £10 million. Not that's potentially readily available anyway. So yeah, that one I could really see happening.
Yeah, and just to stick with you, Bomber, just on the topic of goalkeepers, actually, very quickly, because Matty Young has been linked to Huddersfield Town on loan. That's stepping up to League One. Would that be a good deal, or would you expect him to go to the Championship?
I'd quite like to see him go to the Championship. I have to say, my heart skipped a beat when I first saw it, because there was no, obviously, on reflection, of course it's going to be on loan, because there's no way we're going to sell him to Huddersfield. But there was no mention of it being on a loan when I first saw that news. I was like, no, we're not. How are we getting rid of Matty Young? That's absolutely ludicrous. And then obviously I calmed down a little bit and was able to reflect. And was like, yeah, of course this is going on. He'll be good there. He'll. I mean, I've not seen an awful lot of him, but the way people are talking of him, and from what I have seen of him, he could be playing in the Championship, I think, quite easily. I get that we probably need to be patient with him. Again, he's one that's very young and ceiling is very, very high. And we probably won't see him anywhere near our first team, maybe for another 2 seasons, let alone another one. I think he could get a Championship move and be very good in the Championship and be a starting goalkeeper for a Championship club. Maybe not those playoff chasing clubs, but that Championship experience in a middle to lower end Championship team where he'll get worked and he'll get put under pressure. I think that would thrive and help be the making of him. But Huddersfield as a League One club, they'll be open to push for promotion and get themselves back into the Championship. So that would probably be good for him as well, as long as it works out for Huddersfield. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, Bomber. Actually, just on Matty Young, in terms of him going to Huddersfield, looking at Patterson for around 10 million. If I was in charge, if I was Alex Neil at Millwall, I'd be getting Matty Young on loan for a season rather than spending 10 million on Anthony Patterson. The other thing that might come into it, I was thinking there when you were talking, Bomber, was actually that we might be focusing on what style of football teams play, because I imagine we want goalkeepers to have a bit of the ball and play out from the back, just like Roofs. But moving on to one that has been confirmed, Milan Alexic has gone out on loan to Partizan Belgrade, and he's still contracted with the club for till 2028, so he's still got 2 years on his contract. He's 21 years old. Do you think this loan is part of his development, or do you think we're unlikely to really see him in a red and white strip again?
I think that'll be a loan with view, and don't think we'll see him in a Sunderland top ever again, to be totally honest. And you know what? This isn't. I'm having a dig at Milan, Alexis, because again, I think he's just been one of these ones who's been the victim of us succeeding a little bit too quickly than what probably we thought when we'd signed him. And he's just not. He's not a Premier League footballer. That's been it. See, but I went and watched him a couple of times when I was watching the 21s in the cup games last year. He was doing okay. You know, he had a little bit in him. It's just we've outgrown him very, very quickly. And again, there's a lot of players that are like that. That are still at the club. So for him to go out and him to play, you know, and to go, you know, somewhere where, you know, I think he'd be welcome and stuff like that. I think that's great for him, and I wish him all the best. Again, you know, not someone who's done me wrong. So quite happy to see it, and we'll always have the Stoke equaliser in the FA Cup that couple of years ago. So there we go, son.
Yep, he's had his moment. But moving on, a couple of players, Bomber. Actually, I'll stick with you with this one, actually, and because Dan Neil and Harrison Jones are looking for clubs. It's quite interesting, and we always keep an eye out for players like this, of course, especially Dan Neil. Looks like Southampton and Rangers battling out for Dan Neil. It looked like Southampton, but it looked like Rangers have come in at the last minute to potentially scupper that. A couple of good deals on the table for Dan Neil, which is good. And the other one, Harrison Jones, has gone to Peterborough, and it was interesting that Peterborough kind of almost celebrated this like it was a really big deal, and it wasn't that long ago. It felt like we had a bit of a rivalry with them in League One.
Yeah, that's it. And you know what? I think Harrison Jones will be good in League One. I think that's probably his level. I think, you know, like a lower championship, good League One side that Peterborough, you know, they've been there. But I know they struggled last year in the league, but you know, where they'd want to be is probably, you know, playoff contenders and stuff. And look, it's the lad who's, you know, 21, 22, isn't he? He's getting, you know, he's getting on. He's not, you know, but he's getting to the
He's in
stage where
Sunderland terms.
that's exactly. He's in a you know, a strange way, but he needs to play football. And again, one where, you know, with all the best will in the world, he wasn't going to be starting games here regularly. So, but nice lad. Met him a couple of times. Really, really good lad. So I hope he does well down there. I think it's a good move for him. It's a good move for Peterborough. Yeah, he'll play relatively well, and I'll look forward to seeing what he does down there. The Dan Neil one, I think wherever he goes is a good move for him. You know, Rangers, you know, he'll be, for me, battling out in the top of the top of the Scottish Championship. They're signing some players. Obviously, they've signed Lawrence Shankland. They've got Hearts as manager, and they've got Derek McInnes going in there. So you know they're going to have a right go on. So him going there would be good, but also as well Southampton, who you know who we saw how good they were before Spygate. You know, going through the league, weren't they? So both of them, I think, will be really good moves for him. I can see him at Rangers more than Southampton. I've got to be honest. It surprises when I looked at the Southampton one, thinking he would move that load like that far down the country. I've just driven down there; it's fucking long. So I thought Rangers a little bit close to home for him would work for him. But again, wherever he goes, you know, I hope he does really, really well. Again, with Dan, it's just been he's not Granit Xhaka, isn't it? Basically, and it is what it is.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. We're all going to keep an eye out. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to delay coming to you, Bomber, was because I'm going to move on to a list that Andy has sent through to me, and because he's keeping a tab on all of the players who have been linked to Sunderland this summer. He's keeping an ongoing list. I know you did the article for the site last summer, but some of this list, I think I'm trying to count them very quickly. I'm sure he's got about 44 on this list. I mean, it's an amazing list that we've got, and I'm just going through some of the list. Tammy Abraham was linked. Who've we got? Michael Parker from a team I can't pronounce. We've got Zadok Johanna from AIK. Wan-Bissaka from West Ham, Emil Holm from Juventus, Milton Delgado, Boca Juniors. This is just to name a few. Mariano Trulio from Parma, Enzo Boyomo from Osasuna, Alison Santana from Shakhtar. Apologies if I'm ripping up the pronunciations of these. Victor Munoz from Osasuna, another one from there. Who else? Arnie Engels, that was a big one from Celtic. Who else have we got? Lasumi's been linked again from Bologna. Jay Stansfield from Birmingham was linked by sportsboom.co.uk. Marlon Gomez from Shakhtar. I might have already done that one. Who else have we got? And there was a big one. There's a big one who was actually doing the rounds with Ferran Torres from Barcelona.
I was going to say, don't forget Ferran Torres.
Yeah. That's and Hayden Hackney as well from Middlesbrough, just to bring it down a level. But got some of these AfricaFoot.com, TeamTalk.com, InsideFootball.com. I mean, you did this article for us last year, Bomber. I mean, is this a sign that Sunderland are doing the rounds and we're checking players out, or is it just complete and utter bollocks?
I mean, having done that article, I couldn't, to be honest, Chris, I couldn't keep up with it. I was trying to do it every week, do some sort of roundup, but there was so many new players that were getting added every single season. And I put it down to us, it being, first season back in the Premier League, us wanting to strengthen and us doing, being linked with everybody. And I thought this season it might not be, or this pre-season might not be so bad. But, or like you said already, there's 40 odd players that we've been linked with, and it's almost because I'm sure it's because we're now in Europe. Like if we hadn't qualified for Europe, it might have just ticked along, but because all of a sudden now we need a deeper and a better squad to compete in Europe and in the Premier League, it's just gone silly season again. I mean, Ferran Torres in a Sunderland shirt. I mean, it's not completely beyond the realms of possibility now. Then we consider that we've seen Granit Xhaka and Nordi Mukiele in a Sunderland shirt all season.
Barcelona need the money, to be fair.
Well, there is that as well. So, I mean, I'm not going to rule anything out, Chris, to be honest. But what I will say is that 95% of all those names that you've read out will have probably never spoken to a Sunderland representative and never will. So yeah, it's one thing I've found is a lot of it is absolute horse crap, and I really do not know where they get it from. These, like you said, Africa Foot or whatever it was. Like where is this African journalist that's getting the inside scoop on Shakhtar Donetsk and Sunderland for a Ivorian player? Yeah, it's exciting. It is exciting, but you have to take it with a pinch of salt. But when we get the Ferran Torres reveal video on Instagram, I'll reshare that one. But until then, I think it's just impossible for me to try and do again this season. I might give it a go. I might give it another go and see how we get on. Just include some of the bigger names. But yeah, it's absolute madness, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, thanks to Andy for sending me that over, because I know he keeps a list of ridiculous rumours, all of the rumours that Sunderland are involved in during the summer. So thanks for that, Andy. Moving on to the World Cup, and you've mentioned it already with Angulo's goal against Germany, absolute cracker. We had Isidore's goal against Morocco, absolute belter. I mean, 4 goal scorers at the World Cup, more than PSG at the moment, I think I read. I mean, it's just, I've never known a World Cup like it, where I'm invested in it almost completely from a Sunderland point of view at the minute.
No, you're right. I don't think there has been one. I can remember, was it 2000 when Sorensen made that really bad error for Denmark against England, and thinking,
2002?
2002, I remember all that. But you're right, I mean, we've got players, like so many of them that you're looking at thinking, they're doing well here. And I mean, obviously, probably getting 2 against Sweden, got us kick-started, and I think Xhaka got one as well, didn't he? And but the last 2 games, obviously seeing Wilson Isidore scoring an absolute rocket, and you'll do better to find a better goal than that all tournament. But Nelson Angulo gave it a pretty good goal last night. It was a really, really good finish, that really smart finish. And I can think when we watched Angulo play for Sunderland, that's what you've wanted him to do. You want him to get the ball, run, cut in, have a shot. But sometimes he kind of stops and brings the player back a little bit. And I like that. I like what I saw there. Yeah, that was a nice goal. I was over the moon for him, to be fair. I was really, really chuffed when to see that. And he went on to have a very, very good game. He was probably the player of the match. He was really, really good, and against a good side in Germany, and could be possibly playing England next. So I'd fancy him up against England right back, to be honest. But no, fair play to him. And this is what you want. You want them to do well, don't you? You want to see this. You want to see Brian Brobby scoring goals for Netherlands. And you want to see Wilson Isidore going out there and scoring a banger, because that's what they're capable of. You you didn't want them just to go and sit on the bench or be also runs or anything like that. You know, you want them to do well. You know, a little bit of a injury worry for Omar, wasn't there, last night? I think he went off with a knee injury, but I don't think it's too bad. It looked pretty serious because he went down, he did the whole wavy the arm thing, but after treatment, he played on. I think the hydration break came at the right time for him, which I think the first time for everything, but he eventually did go off, so hopefully that's nothing too serious. Hopefully we're not bringing anyone back with injuries. But to say, like, a few of them are, like, you know, qualified, aren't they? So we're going to be seeing them again. I know Morocco have got the Dutch, haven't they? So obviously that'll be a great game for us watching the Euros, to watch, you know, Talby and Brobby and all that, and hopefully, you know, see a couple more get games and stuff like that. But it's all going to be massive. I mean, they're going out there and you know, in the biggest stage in the world and putting on a show. That's class for us. And, you know, I love Guy Mowbray every time a Sunderland player scores, digging into the shaver. Like, I think that's brilliant. And, you know, obviously, Guy started his career at Sunderland, didn't he? And then I met with a radio commentary, and you can tell he still holds us to quite esteem. And I love that. Like, I really did. I thought that was brilliant. So, yeah, but fair play to them. Like, well done. You know what? What more can you want from that? Seeing them at the World Cup and seeing them shine on the biggest stage, it's just makes you proud, doesn't it, Chris? It makes you proud to be a Sunderland fan. And 5 years ago, you know, like I say, we were in that pizza trophy thing, and now we've got an under-21 team in it. You know what I mean? It's just the trajectory of this club's just gone up and up and up and up. And yeah, seeing that and just seeing the immense, like I say, the immense pride. And obviously, I know we're in audio, but I've got the Morocco top with Talby on the back, wearing that today. So. Yeah, I'm chuffed to bits. Every time they come on, I'm just like, oh, let's see what they can do. And yeah, probably getting another goal last night as well. So he's up there with the best in the Golden Boot. He's on 3 goals now. So, you know, he's up there. He's up there. Just a few more goals, and he'll be challenging the Messis and the Vinny Juniors and that. So fair play to them. No, fair play to all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll just get your take on these players at the World Cup, Bomber, because it is fantastic to see. And one thing I wanted to talk about very quickly was Brian Brobby, in the way that the Netherlands played off him, I suppose, and then got him back involved in that Sweden game, because I think that could be a completely different element we see from Brian Brobby next season. And if we're looking to evolve the way we attack, that could almost be a little bit of a blueprint, couldn't it? Get the ball up, a long ball into his feet, play off him, and then get him in behind afterwards.
Yeah. Obviously need the players to do it, but you know, there were times last season when we were looking a little bit, what's the word? A little bit blunt, I guess, in attack, or a little less threatening. But at the moment, the Dutch are, you know, they're pretty free flowing, and they're pretty aggressive in their attack and pretty threatening. And obviously, Brian Brobby is front and center of that. It was funny just hearing Ant say, you know, Brobby's on three goals. I think Haaland's on 4, Messi on 5, Vinny Junior maybe is on 3. Imagine if like Holland, the Dutch, they go all the way in this to the, you know, the semis, the final, and we have a Sunderland player that's got the World Cup golden boot by the end of it. Like, in what sort of parallel universe are we living in where that happens? But yeah, just quickly on the World Cup, I've never been so invested in a World Cup. You know, regardless of how good England are or whatever, I've always watched the World Cup. I've always enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed watching teams that you wouldn't ordinarily watch. But it just feels, I feel like a fan of all these other nations, you know, of Morocco, of Paraguay, of the Netherlands. Because you're right, there's a sense of pride there, and there's a sense of ownership of those players. And when they do well, you kind of feel like a bit of a proud father, seeing them do well on this stage. One, because obviously they play for your club, but 2, like I said, we're still in this, as Sunderland fans, we're still in this dream world from Wembley, now 2 seasons ago, and it's not stopped. And it's carried right through to being in the Premier League, to qualifying for Europe, to having players performing at the very top level and scoring goals that, you know, BBC and Sky Sports and global news outlets are talking about, and performances that the world are watching. You know, we have to be a little bit careful that they don't overperform, because all of a sudden we'll lose 3 or 4 of them. But yeah, I can't really describe it in any other way other than I feel like a proud father watching them. And it's just fantastic.
Yeah, the only thing that would have topped it off in a way would have been seeing Ross Stewart play against Brazil, which would have, again, another thing I don't think I would have been able to say. But again, moving on from the World Cup, you did mention earlier and about the under-21s and our Pizza Cup win a few years ago, and it comes with the new appointment of John Hewitson as well as the club's new head of academy, which is an internal promotion. He's been at the club since 2019. And
Great bloke, by the way, Chris. Great
oh,
bloke. Deserves it. Deserves that. Really, really good bloke.
well, I was just about to say, and from this big, the club values, the identity we're looking at, and the fact that he was, involved in our player development for the last 7 years. I mean, on paper, it makes sense, and it's a good thing that these opportunities are there for people.
100%. Like I say, he's worked his way up as well. He's done a really, really good job everywhere he's been in the club, and massively deserves it. Yeah, really, really good bloke.
Yeah, no, that's good. And moving on to the and actually, I'll just get your take on it because you mentioned it earlier. But the EFL Trophy, we are putting a side in, an under-21 side. I think it's classed as. I don't know whether it's under-23s or under-21s, but we have got. We were drawn against Accrington Stanley, Salford, and Sheffield Wednesday in the group stage. It is a real odd one, that there were 8 Premier League academy sides in the northern section. We've got Aston Villa, Everton, Leeds, Liverpool, Man City, the visitors, and Nottingham Forest. It's just so bizarre when you think about it. Obviously, the link with David Bruce now at Sheffield Wednesday, but you go back to 2022, that summer, that it was a toss of a coin almost between us and Sheffield Wednesday in that playoff semi-final. That both clubs were on an even keel completely almost. And I think we got hammered that season as well, earlier in the season from Sheffield Wednesday. I think we took a good beating off them. And now our under-21 side are in the EFL Trophy group with Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, it just, like I say, it shows the trajectory from both sides, isn't it? And obviously, Sheffield's been through a horrible, horrible time and being bought out, and I wish them all the best because the club that deserves, they do deserve success. They're a really, really good set of fans and stuff. And one of those, good historical clubs. So fingers crossed, that they can't get themselves back up. But we played them first home game 2 years ago in the promotion. Register Bristol's first home game was against Sheffield Wednesday. So look at us now. 2 years later, we're readying for Europe, and they're going to be playing our under-21 side in the whatever trophy they call it these days. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean it's a good. You know what? I hope that's an away game for the under-21s who can go to Hillsborough and just take that stadium in and all that stuff. I really hope that, because that'll be a big game for them young'uns. And then the other two's Accrington and Salford, aren't they? So games where them two especially, and I don't mean to be disparaging against Accrington and Salford, but you put your under-21s out against that, again, two sides who have been in, they're in League Two. I think Salford in the playoff final weren't, obviously the Matty Young factor as well, and obviously Accrington as well, which I always remember going down and getting flooded. But good games, good good clubs. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching them and see what happens with that. If we get Salford away, I might go down because I've never been to Salford, so I'd see that. But we'll see. But no, best of luck to them, and it gives them an awe when we were in that, and there was that whole palaver about the under-21 sides going down, wasn't there? And I know the clubs that playing it aren't very happy about it, and the fans don't normally go to them, but it's an opportunity for the lads to play against men. And good, strong, and for me, I think that's where you miss a little bit of reserve team football from back in the day when you did play against a mixture of what were young'uns, but the second 11, wasn't it? And it was it kind of got you used to what was like first team football. So yeah, we'll look forward. I'll look forward to that with interest, I will say.
Yeah, I know Roy Keane gets to watch Salford quite often, so I wonder if he's going to. If we're playing them at Salford, if Roy Keane might get himself along to that. But Bummer, just your take on that, because as Anne said, it's a good opportunity for some young players, and hopefully, I was going to say, Bummer, hopefully it's a good opportunity for us to watch them, because I know I don't get a chance to watch the the young lads at Sunderland, those coming through, to see if there's anybody coming through or anything like that. And hopefully there's going to be a way to watch these games, because it'd be good to see them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it is. I'm with you. I don't really watch the academy football, the under 21s, partly because it's not really readily available. So yeah, it is a good opportunity to see players who you hear rumours about, who are quite fancied at the club as prospects for the future. And as Ant said, it's a chance to see them play against experienced, fully fledged professionals. Those Salford and Accrington teams will be littered with very good Football League players. At a level. They're not going to be Premier League standard players. Some of them won't be Championship standard players, but they will be professional footballers. Some of them, like I said, experienced and 5-10 years of EFL football under their belts. So it'll be a good yardstick as to what the potential of some of these lads will actually be, and it will be some meaningful football for those who. Because I'm assuming you can still play 2 or 3, is it, that are overage players? So it'll be a much better stage for players who either aren't quite making match day squads, or are coming back from injury, or need a little bit of match sharpness. It's a better yardstick for them to get up to speed. So it's only a good thing. And when we were on the other side of it, and we were the League One teams playing against under 21s teams, I really didn't like it, and I didn't see the point of it. And I remember listening to Simon Jordan on TalkSport talking disparagingly about it and agreeing with everything that he said. Now we're on the other side of it, and we're the Premier League team that's got an under 21s team. I can really see how it does benefit those under 21s teams, probably more so than the actual League One and League Two teams that are in it as part of their bread and butter of a season. Because, like you said, it gives us a chance to see how our prospects fare under competitive circumstances in senior football. So there's a real big benefit to us being in it, particularly as a club that wants to breed young talent and potentially sell them on, or filter them into the first team. Yeah, it stands us in good stead, and I'll make a lot more of an effort to watch them with great interest next season.
Yeah, it'll be good to see. Like I said, I hope there's an avenue for us to be able to watch those games. Very last snippet, there was additional tickets apparently released for our friendly in Lawns. And I know there's multiple ways of getting to see that, but I was just going to put it out there. Have either of you got any plans to go and watch any pre-season friendlies? I know that lots of people have been talking about the York one, especially.
Well, I want to go to York, but it's sold out. I'm so unfortunate, but we're thinking about a road trip to Long. I must admit, we are thinking about it, like a D in and D out kind of thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, York's still almost as far as a trip to the stadium I like for me. So I'll probably miss that one, even if I could get a ticket. But yeah, it would be nice. One day I'd like to find a way of following the lads pre-season. Some of the Americas stuff, would be nice to get over to the States and maybe watch that Liverpool game or the Leeds game or something. But yeah, I'll be an armchair pre-season viewer this season, mate.
Yeah, those pesky responsibilities getting in the way of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Being able to actually do what we want to do. But I think that's enough for today. And if there's anything we've missed, we haven't got time to talk about it. So apologies if there was something big we have missed. But that just leaves me to say thank you very much to Bomber and thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure as always. And thanks again, everyone, for listening. Don't forget, we'll have loads more on the Roker Report website regarding everything we've talked about and a whole lot more, I would guess. We'll also be back tomorrow with part 2 of the summer quiz. So if you haven't listened to part 1, it's a good chance for you to go back and listen to that, so you know the scores going into part 2. But from us, it's bye for now.
This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.
Hi, this is Ben Green from The Athletic FC. The podcast you're about to listen to is brought to you by Hotels.com. As a Hotels.com member, you save up to 20% on hundreds of thousands of hotels and earn rewards on every single stay, which means the trips you're taking now help pay for the ones you're already dreaming about. And unlike some other places, there are no blackout dates, so when you want to travel, your rewards are ready to go. So the next time you're planning a work trip or a getaway, make sure to book it at Hotels.com and start earning rewards. Hotels.com. It's all in the name.